Jennifer is a native of Ohio and grew up in Little Italy, and been in Brunswick since 2023, and we're glad to have her here. And she runs the West Park Barber School. And also here is the Michalske family, who's going to talk about the 3 generations of Michalskes who have had the Brunswick Plaza Barbershop. So our whole history is about barbering, and Mr. President over there has fond memories of barbering because his uncle had the barbershop that once was in the big basement of the building on the corner of 303 and 42, where my office used to be for the paper.
By the clock tower?
Yeah.
No, on the other side.
The other side is down, yeah, the one that's still there, and you can still go down in that basement, though I wouldn't probably suggest it.
Walt's Pizza was?
Hmm?
No, it was on the other side of the street.
That's what was your uncle's name?
Frank Bilski,
Frank.
Frank's Barbershop.
No, Waltz was across the street.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, not Waltz.
It was
He was a late
It
comer.
was Lee's Pizza. It was Lee's Pizza before Walt's.
Okay, and it's with great pleasure I introduced Jennifer Scibana.
Oh, awesome, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love being here. I love sandwich. I tell everybody, I'm gonna just grab this, I'm not gonna stand here. I said, I said, I have a new friend and she has purple hair. It's amazing. I love it. I did. I was so excited when I met Sam. I went home and I told everybody, and I was like, I have this new friend. She's wonderful and she has purple hair, and she puts her to work. Yes, but that's okay. That's what I'm here for, right? So just a little bit about me. I've been, oh gosh, and I wonder, where did you go to barber school?
Allstate.
That's where I went to barber school. I went there as well.
25th and Lorraine.
25th and Lorraine, back in,
I went in 76.
I went in 1999. 1999. So this year I will be barbering for 25 years. So I love it. I love cutting hair. I love doing, this is a great passion of mine. And like I said, I've been doing hair for 25 years. And back in 2009 is when I got my barber instructor license, and I opened up a barber school in Little Italy called La Barberia. And I loved it. And I found that was my new passion, was to teach and to coach and to mentor these guys, I call them kids, but I'm going to tell you, I have students that are older than me. I have students that are older than me, and I have students that are younger than me, and I always say, my kids, but they're really, they kind of are, they are like my babies. But, I had a student that was 65 years old back at La Barberia, and then I had as young as 18, like right out of high school. And I found that I really loved coaching these guys and mentoring them and helping them build a career, more than I really liked being behind my chair. And I'm getting older, and being behind your chair, and I'm sure Vicki will say, it sucks. It sucks. Being behind your chair is hard on your body. It's absolutely hard on your body. And we're trying to teach our students about, the ergonomics of standing the right way and having good posture, because, your arms are up all the time. Your shoulders are constantly working. You're on your feet sometimes 10, 12 hours a day, just grinding and constantly cutting and cutting and cutting. And, that's how we make our money, right? This is how we make our money. We don't have the guy who signs our paycheck. We sign our own paychecks. And that's one of the things that got me into this industry, because I get to decide how much money I make. I get to decide how much money I make, and when I want to take a vacation, and when I don't want, I get to make all those decisions. So it definitely has its ups and its downs, but again, this industry is amazing. When I went to Allstate with Phil D'Amico, who I absolutely loved, he was still around when I went to school. They taught us a little bit, but the history of barbering is such an amazing, when I was floored as to what barbers used to be and how they used to like just how they would do all of these random acts, like they were dentists, they were, minor surgeries and all these things, which we're going to get into. It was mind blowing. So the first chapter, when you come to school, our very first chapter is the history of barbering, and all of the students they love it. They're like floored. Oh my God, we pulled teeth. We did what? I don't want to do that.
The colors of the pole?
The colors of the pole, which we're going to talk about too. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, and it's literally like such a great history of the profession that it's exciting. I get excited to talk about the barber pole and those kind of things. So yeah, I have my notebook where here it is. I have notes that I like to just make sure I don't miss anything. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that the fact that barbering is literally the oldest profession in the world. It's the oldest documented profession in the world. Because it was documented before we even had doctors. Because again, we were barber surgeons. So even before the doctors, we were recognized as a profession in the world, which is just unbelievable. Like has anybody ever seen Sweeney Todd?
Yeah.
And I just saw it. It just came on. It was downtown at the Palace. I forget which theater it was at. Just like a year ago. Oh my God, it was awesome on stage. But the movie with Johnny Depp. It's good. But it's a cool. What was that?
The one with Angela Lansbury.
Oh, I've never seen that one. I'll have to look. I'll have to do that. But it's cool because watching that's how that was, And I love the song that they had, which was when they were talking about when he would say, I'm gonna do a shave. He would sing about the shaving. He would hone his razor. And we have some old tools here that I brought that we have at the Barber School. My partner is huge in the old tools. And if you go into an antique store, you can literally find these tools anywhere. You can find these old handheld clippers. Do you imagine cutting hair with these? Do you imagine doing this all day? They would have carpets on. Just kind of going up with this, no. Yeah, your hand would be hurting. So we have these old tools, and I went into down in Medina. They have all those antique stores, and I would just go in and I would find all these different. This is what we call a hone that sharpens. It's like you sharpening your knives with the abrasive material. So the word barber comes from the Latin word barba, meaning beard. And that's a lot of these things that I have, a lot of the slip chart has a lot to do with the beard. And if you notice over time, in the last probably I would say 10 years, the beard is really making the comeback. Right? We see all these young guys with these big beards. And it's awesome for us barbers because they have to get their beard trimmed all the time, so that's great for us in our pockets. But some people are a big fan of the beard, some people don't like the beard. She said no. I like the beard.
I do too.
You like the beard?
They're nice.
She trims mine for free.
Oh, that's nice.
So we'll get them now.
Yeah, see, you keep it nice and cut it.
Well, I'd like to hear.
Yeah, I think
I thought it was nice though, right? Yeah.
But big beards, my ex, actually, I wish I would have, not my ex, my husband, God, don't say that. He had a beard down here when Jackson was born.
What happened?
He kept trimming it. But now it's getting, what was that?
Epic.
Yeah, it was epic.
That's what they call it.
Yeah. So, the beard was just we have goatees and mustaches. Those were the thing of every man always had these beards and these mustaches, especially back in the day when they were talking about the history of barbering. So, barbers were known as tonsorial artists, which tonsorial means cutting, clipping, the trimming of the hair. And that's all Latin, all of our words come from Latin. Do you remember any of this from when you were in school? Do you ever study it now, currently? Do you ever look it up or?
I just found my book from Barber College. I was showing
Your
my
textbook?
daughter today. I was like, "Look, here's my Barber College book."
Oh, that's really cool. I wish I still had mine. I don't.
I got mine at the shop.
Yeah, that is really cool. Definitely hang on to that. Don't get rid of that.
Her memories are a lot of music from Barber College, is what I hear.
No.
Well, you know, it's funny because a lot of the, and I don't know if this is how it was, and what year did you say you went to barber school?
76.
76. Like, when I went to barber school, it was really about doing your time. It was all just doing time, right? You have 1,800 hours that we have to complete behind, like, in the barber school. And it was like, to some of us, was like, I was also 19 years old when I went to barber school, and it was like, you know, I just got out of high school, and then I decided I wanted to be a paralegal. I really wanted to be in law. But then I got bored, and I was just doing nothing. And my mom and dad looked at me and said, oh, no, you're not going to mooch off us. Go to work. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do. So my mom at the time was a general manager at La Barberia in Little Italy, and she said, come work the front desk. So I went and worked the front desk, and the owner of La Barberia, she is a barber, like one of the very first female barbers. She was actually just inducted to the Barber Hall of Fame in Columbus just this past year. And she said, why did you go to barber school? And I was like, I was not one of those girls who cut their Barbie's hair. Or cut their, I didn't. I did not do that. A lot of cosmetologists or barbers, you ask, did you always want to cut hair? And they're like, oh yeah, I would cut this, or I cut my own hair, or I did this. I was not one of those people. I didn't even color my hair at that time. And I said, okay, I'll go to barber school. And the next day I was enrolled in barber school, and I started the following week. It was just fell into my lap like that. And it's been great. It's been a wonderful time. But back to the barber school and the history, I didn't learn any of this. They literally gave us a textbook and said, here you go, read it. Good luck. And I was like, well, okay. But now we're trying to change that stigma. We don't want that anymore. We want the barber students to come in and actually learn, and learn more than just the history of barbering, learning how to have good customer service, learning how to talk to their client, learning the business of it, because a lot of times barbers come out of barber school and they don't know how to do their taxes. They don't claim anything, and they're just pocketing all this money, and then the IRS comes knocking and says, hey, you haven't paid your taxes. Oops, I didn't know I had to do that. Like, you know, so we're trying to change all that and bring like a good education to these students, not children. What was that? And Jackson, actually, can I show them your hair? So Jackson is stand up. He's bringing back the mullet. Yeah, so we talk about all these different haircuts that they come back and in and out and all that stuff. So right now, he and his brother both have mullets. They like your hair. I keep saying, let's cut it, but Dad is also a barber. And so, yeah, he's got two parents that are barbers, and okay, yes, thank you. So in all early cultures practice some sort of beautification, right? Like if you look back at textbooks, or you look back at any type of old school book, and you see rulers, monarchs, or just random, everybody always had their hair done of some sort, or wig, right? A lot of wigs, which we're going to learn why they used to do that with wigs. So the Egyptians, they were the first to cultivate beauty in extravagant fashion. So when they were excavating all these tombs, they found all these really cool combs and bowls and different types of tools to cut hair, like mirrors, cosmetics, scissors, razors made from copper and bronze, all in their tombs. They were buried with these artifacts, which I think is really cool. They had to go with their hair. I think I'd want to have my flat iron. Because my hair is really curly, so I have to have flat iron hair. That's what I would do. Many use berries, bark, and minerals as coloring agents for their hair and their nails. And you know, it's funny to me because I would have never thought this long ago they were coloring their hair. I would have never thought that. You know, I would not have thought. I don't think anybody had purple hair.
No.
Maybe the men. Didn't the men have those purple looks back in the real white hair?
She's a trendsetter.
She is.
Right.
Sam is a trendsetter. So down here, this was really cool. High-ranking men and women had barbers shave their heads for comfort when wearing those wigs. So the hair would get really hot. Has anybody worn a wig before, aside from like Halloween or anything like that? It gets really hot, right? You put that on and you're sweating. So they would literally shake their heads for comfort. And then also to prevent parasitic infestations. But lice, right? You got to think about that. Like that's our biggest thing is lice. I'll tell you, nobody gets grossed out, but I'll tell you a little story at the barber school. We just opened up in April, so this coming April will be 1 year that we've opened. And we now have 22 students, and one of my students was cutting hair like this, calling me over, and I was like, okay, so I walk over, how can I help you? And she's the customer. There was a young kid, and he was sitting down. He was just sitting like this. I don't know if I don't remember if he had a tablet or a phone or something, but he just had his head bent. And she's behind him, and she's like, and I was like, what? And I'm like looking, and I'm like, I don't really see anything. And then I call one of the other instructors over, and she comes over, and I'm like, what is that? And she's like, oh, that's an egg. And I was like, because with eggs that are lice, you can't pull them out. They just stick to the hair. And knock on wood, I've never had lice, and nor my kids, but like you can't pull it out. So she put gloves on. She goes, look, this is not coming out. This is an egg. Well, then her brother was sitting next to her in another chair, and that student's like, and I was like, oh my God. So I walk over, and he's like, what is that? And it was this little black thing. And I was like, I usually thought lice, I would just think white or clear. I wasn't thinking black. He took his comb and he goes, watch. And he poked it and it moved. Oh. And I was like, okay, we're all done here. We're all done. And you literally have to, I called afterwards because like I said, we just opened in April and I really didn't know what the protocol was for schools. Like I know whatever protocol you make in your barbershop is one thing, but for a school, I was thinking, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? But we literally shut down the clinic floor. We stopped all services, finished up the ones that we could not finish up the poor children that had lice in their hair. We had to leave with half a haircut, which made me really sad. I felt really bad. But they had no choice. My students were all panicking. Then they're spraying bleach on themselves. And I was like, you guys, this is not how that works. But we had to shut down the clinic floor and just like clean everything up. But it happens, right? But luckily they came back a week later, all free, or it was like maybe 2 weeks later, and we fixed it. So all
Well, if they didn't know they had it,
So I don't think the kids knew that they had it, but something tells me the mom knew, because she was like, well, we were using the shampoo and it was fine like a couple of days ago, and I was like, well, I think, sorry, but.
She wanted you to shave those so that she doesn't have to worry about
Right, exactly. Does anybody have any questions about the Egyptians? These lovely Egyptians? Also with the Egyptians, every third day the barbers would shave priests' entire body, which was insane to me. Their entire body to make sure that they were pure before entering that temple. Which I think is really cool. Like you hear about like swimmers, they shave their body so that they're faster, but I never would have thought, like I was like, even when I was putting this together, because what we use at the school is we have a slideshow with the TV, so I was like, I want to have something visual for you guys. So when I was putting it together, I was like, I'm trying to find in the book, I'm searching, I wanted to know why. I'm one of those people that wants to know why. Like I always ask questions. My husband gets so mad at me. He's like, it doesn't matter. Yes, I want to know. I just need to know. I'd like to know the why behind it. But I couldn't find it. If I do find it, I'll let Sam know. She can pass along the information. So I don't know why they thought the hair would give them purity. I maybe just thought of maybe being dirty. Then that's what they thought. I'm not really sure. So with African cultures, I thought was really interesting because their hair was groomed. In African culture, hair was groomed, decorated with beads, color bands, and clay, and a lot of braiding, which if you think now, when you think with African Americans, a lot still are using that same type of culture. Beads for little girls, it keeps the hair just controlled, because if anybody has ever tried to attempt to do an African American woman's hair, trust me, it is no easy thing. It is no easy task. We do a lot of, we do all kinds of different races in the barber school, you know, black, Hispanic, whatever the case may be. But black women, they kind of tend to go to their own stylists. It's because their hair, they're there all day, like hours. I used to have a girl that worked for me, and she was like, well, I have to take off on Tuesday. I'm like, oh, what's going on? I'm going to get my hair done. The whole day? She's like, oh, it's the whole day. I'm like, okay, yeah. Do you? But I would get impatient. I get impatient with 45-minute color on my hair. I'm like, is it time? I've got things I have to do. She's like, they're my students, but Miss Jen, you know the time, you have to sit for 40 minutes because of your gray. And I'm like, can they make it go faster? So what I thought with this African cultures, I thought that was pretty interesting that, you still see that, even that long ago, you're still seeing that same type of style within their cultures. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that they do that.
It's fun. It's great to see when some like cultures are still like doing things. I have a lot of students from the Middle East, and I feel like their culture still like lives with them, and they still have their thoughts. And I feel like a lot of us white people, I guess, have lost their culture. Like it's like a dying thing. When you start losing your grandparents and your great grandparents, like things kind of they get lost. So I'm a big culture person. I like that. Greece. So in Greece, barbering became a highly developed art, and well-trimmed beards were status symbols. I mean, when you all over this book, we talk about beards and being a symbol of wisdom. Do you want to know what the symbol of wisdom is now? Wrinkles.
What is it?
Wrinkles. That's what I say. I say wrinkles. I'm like, you see these?
That's pretty wise.
These are my wisdom. This is my wisdom, my wrinkles. That's my wisdom. Oh, gray hair.
These are my battle stripes.
like when I have this, I look at my roots, and my roots are coming in. I'm like, this is my wisdom. It means I've come a very long way. Most of it comes from him. Most of my gray come from you, but that's okay. We still love you. So barbers rose in prominence to become leading citizens. And that's when we're going to talk about, the next page is going to talk, or I think 2 pages, I don't know, it's going to talk about how barbers were surgeons. So barbering, like I say before, it was one of the oldest professions documented before doctors. So barbers became these citizens, these leading citizens in their countries. And people would look to them. Think about it, when back in the day, barber shops were always gathering places, right? People would gather at the barber shop. People would just hang out, just come for a cup of coffee. Do you have some of those guys that still come into your shop? See, that is amazing. That's amazing. Do you remember, I don't know if he inspected out here, but Tom Prince, the inspector, I don't know, does he the inspector out here? I know he inspected in Cleveland, I don't know.
I don't remember.
No. So he
Now it's cosmetology comes in. So.
Oh, okay. So now it's totally different. I know, now that they've merged. Tom Prince, he was the inspector for many, many years up in at least the Cleveland area. And he would come into my barber shop when I owned a shop in Tremont a few years back before the kids, and he would just come and sit at my front desk, because I had a huge, almost like a bar area at my front desk. He would just sit there and drink coffee. He's like, I didn't want to check your barbicide, which is our disinfectant. He's like, I just want to here. He's like, I love going into barbershops and just sitting and shooting the shit and just talking about sports, talking about whatever. Because you don't talk about politics and religion in the barbershop. We had a gentleman yesterday, he came in the barbershop, he got a shave, a hot lather shave, and a haircut, and he was like, let's talk about Trump, and everyone's like, no! All my students are like, no, we're not allowed. We're not allowed. We're gonna get in trouble. And I'm like, good job. You're not supposed to, because you could definitely offend somebody.
That's the first thing my dad told me. Don't ever talk politics or religion, and don't put any signs in your window.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you never know who you're gonna offend. You're servicing the public.
Keep your mouth shut.
Right. Right. And it was funny because Joe, my husband, and I we were talking about putting out if what are those yard signs?
Yeah.
Yard signs, that's what they're called, right? Yard signs? we both decided, no, we don't want to put yard signs out because, well, when we weren't living in Brunswick at the time, we were living in Cleveland, right by the barbershop. And we were like, no, because people might know where we live and we don't want them to deter coming to us because of our political stance or whatever the case may be, because that's our paycheck and we need to make our money. So we can't offend everybody. Or anybody. Yeah, so the barbershops became gathering places.
Do you, like when we go out of town, we stop at the barbershop, local barbershops, and we go in and talk to the barbers and stuff? It's a blast.
I love it.
Do you do that
I
also?
do, yes. Yeah, my husband and I do. We
I
love
know
that.
we do, we visit it.
It's
all
so
over
cool to
again.
see, and then you get ideas of what people have
Exactly.
done with these barbershops.
We
and
sit in
their-
there for quite a while.
Yeah, their decor. It's really cool.
It was fun.
We went to my brother and his family used to live in San Diego, and we would go to Ocean Beach and just walk, and they had all these really cool shops. Barbershop. It was just like, and then in between all these little boutiques, there were just barbershops everywhere.
Yeah.
And in California, they're really kind of like out there, really cool, eccentric places. They were really cool to see. You all right?
Yeah.
Are you learning? Are you going to go teach your teacher
I want to teach my teacher.
about the history of barbering?
My teacher's supposed to teach me, not for me to teach my teacher.
I think your dad's here.
Oh, is
He's
he?
a-
See, and look, and he has the beard. And there's the beard.
There you go.
Take care, everyone.
That's funny. So I said, I want a barber pole on my piece of paper. I went out on my clinic floor and I said, anybody good at drawing? Can I get a barber pole? And one of my students came in and drew that freehand.
Oh,
I was like, oh,
good girl.
what?
Very nice.
I was
Good
like,
girl
that's
or boy?
amazing. It was really cool. He did a really nice job.
So what did it mean?
Oh, we're getting there. Let's talk about Rome first, though, because I love this. Noble women tinted their hair red. Middle class women tinted their hair blonde. Poor women tinted their hair black. So I screwed. Pretty much.
Thankfully, nobody had purple.
No purple, Sam. I'm sorry. But so I thought that was pretty interesting. I was like, who was deciding that? And then did you go to the shop and they say, how much money do you have? And this will decide what color hair you get? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering, like, oh, I'm sorry, I only have $1, so you get black hair. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder how they made that decision like that. Do you know? You do?
How the dye was created. Red came from crimson. It came from cedar trees, which were more expensive than a pine tree. And the bark from a pine tree is just black.
I have to write this down. I'm going to share it with my students. Say it again.
I always want to know why something is too.
Yes. Okay, so say it again.
It's just
The
whatever
color, because of the expense of
The expense of
the
making the
expense
dye.
of where the color came from.
Right.
Oh my God.
Well, what about blonde, though?
blonde. I think it was probably a bleach kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Take
maybe.
the color, not necessarily add a blonde color,
Right.
but take the
Take the
dark
color out.
colors out.
Take the darker colors out, yeah. Expensive product, I like that.
Well,
Very cool. Yeah,
Nancy,
so-
how would you color something red when you were weaving?
We use cochineal, the bugs, or mannery. And probably they would have used purple, but purple is very expensive to extract
Here.
from shells.
Mhm.
So it takes a long process. That's why the fabric. But
She goes out and picks flowers, weeds, because she makes them for dye. So
You heard it, we-
Really cool. That's really cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. So, clergymen were distinguished by a tonsure. Do we know what that is?
what is it?
Tonsure. I don't want to show you the definition, but what is a tonsure?
Bare top, very short.
Yep. It's a shaved patch on the crown. So if you've seen movies with like monks and you would see that where they would have the shaved on top and then just like a little fringe, they called that the tonsure of St. Peter. That was the tonsure of of St. Peter. It would just be this little thing all the way around that would just go like right here. And you would see that, like if anybody watched Game of Thrones, it was in Game of Thrones too, you'd see those haircuts like that, where they would just shave the top of their head, which I thought was really cool. So I want to say, when I go back to, I have a note in here about that. So the tonsure of St. Peter was that slight fringe that came around. They also had the tonsure that was more about, more of like just a complete shaven head with just like a little bit down here at the bottom. So nothing, no fringe here. And the tonsure of St. Peter was preferred in Germany, Italy, and Spain, but the Picts and Scots preferred the semicircle design. So it would just be like a moon, a semicircle moon like that, where it would just kind of like come up and right here on the back, which I thought was really cool. And that was an early like history of Scotland. But then after much argument, the Pope decided that he wanted all of his priests to have the St. Peter. He made a law that,
Ruling.
a ruling, yeah, thank you, that the Pope wanted everybody to have the tonsure of St. Peter. So I thought that was pretty cool. So the rise of the barber surgeons. So bloodletting. So that's where we came up, that's where they got this pole from, which is really cool. So the pole was something that the patient would hold on to. So like, you know how when they tell you to squeeze when you gotta find a vein or whatever? So they would tell you to hold on to this pole, that's what the pole represented. And the basin at the bottom was something that the blood, when they would do their bloodletting to get rid of whatever infection they thought, whatever they had, would catch the blood down here at the bottom. So that's why they have this pole and the basin. Then you have your red stripes, which represented the blood, the blue represented the veins, and the white represented the bandages. And they would hang them outside, and the wind would spin, and that's where they would kind of come together, and that's why you got that look of the barber pole. That was the interpretation of the barber pole, because they would hang their bandages out to dry, it would spin, and that's what it looked like. Another interpretation, especially in the U.S., was that it was our nation's flag. And that is fine if they want to think that is not right. It is because of this. It is because of the barber surgeons and the bloodletting and the dentistry. That actually lasted, which I think is pretty crazy. So for centuries, barbers were the only ones that performed dentistry work, the only ones that were pulling teeth. And for more than 1,000 years, we were known as the barber surgeons. It was in 1745, England passed the law. In 1745, they passed the law separating barbers and surgeons.
Wow.
Which I think is incredible that it went that long. I can imagine, like somebody coming in.
Can you imagine the tools?
I don't think anybody want me pulling their teeth.
No, nobody wants to be pulling. I don't want to. I don't want to pull anybody's teeth. So yeah, so we brought some. I brought some really cool old like shears. Like now that pivot screw is on the inside here, like these are some old ones. These aren't as old as like some of the ones that they've had, but we can pass this around. Can I pass your stuff around? Is that okay?
Sure.
So Sam had, and I'm sure you had this in the other house.
Yeah, it's in the house, yeah.
Yeah, this old mug and brush, which, and it's, I don't know, it's really sad. Unfortunately, the barber board has merged with the cosmetology. And I have nothing against cosmetologists. They are wonderful.
But it ain't the same
It's
as
not,
barbers.
it's just not the same. And I feel like it should be still separate, but it's all because of money.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to save money or do whatever, cut jobs, do what they can. So the governor merged the two boards, and they still have a slight separation. But there's still a gentleman, his name is Ed Hiley, he still runs the barber portion of the board. But they've changed so many things. We don't even use a mug and a brush anymore. What? We don't even use a mug and a brush anymore. You can just use shaving cream at the state board test. If you want to use shaving cream and we told our students, if you want to use shaving cream when you go into your barber shop, that's fine, but what's going to set you aside that's going to be different?
Yeah, you
wanna
could do
be
it at home.
different. Right, you could do that at home. You're going to charge $45 for a shave. What are you going to do different? So, I like to, I remember we would stick our whole hand in there, we want to make a lot of noise, and you would mix up your lather and, paint it on and do a nice straight razor shave. So,
Hot towel.
lots of hot towels. We actually even use hot towels, and then we also do, we have a steamer. We have like 6 or 7 facial steamers in the school that we bring out when people are getting shaved as well, because it keeps the shaving cream like nice and moist so that it can, still shave. Plus it's relaxing for the customer. Who doesn't love hot steam on their face? I do. So I'm gonna pass this around, and then Sam also found, is that a pineapple or an owl?
It's a mustache comb.
Oh no, it's a dragon of some sorts. On the
Oh, yeah.
carving, yeah. So a little mustache comb, which I think is really cool. And there are still men who in here has a comb in their pocket.
I used to.
You have one?
You have a
You
comb?
have one?
You have a
From
comb?
her barbershop.
Yeah, 25 cents for the
Yeah, I mean, a lot of men still to this day carry combs in their pockets. I'm gonna pass those around. So so at first we always had these conventional, and this one's broke, but we've always had conventional straight razors. A conventional straight razor is just a straight blade. Now we have
replaceable.
there's a name for it.
Disposable.
Disposable blades, so they come in and out, and that's great. I mean, it works, it's easy. But again, the old school feel of the barber, when they would have to hone and strop their razor, again, it brings that old school feeling of it. Like when you come in and you would see someone doing a nice sharpening of their razor and then honing and stropping it afterwards.
My grandfather would use a razor strap.
Oh, yeah.
For his razor, but for our asses.
Yeah.
Brian, I'll do that.
When I was bringing this
Is that-
over, my 12-year-old great-grandson said to me, "What is this?" And so I showed him and he says, "Oh, thank God we've evolved."
It's true. It definitely has. This one here, I wonder if they say on this one. This one was made in Germany. But they're not obviously sharp anymore. I'm sure you could probably get a little cut out of it, but you're not going to be able to shave anybody's face with that unless you get a nice blade on it. So just be careful. That's just in case. Like this, just going around. We can pass around these handheld clippers, and you can see those. Thank God we have electricity now. It would take, I feel like this would take way longer. Oh no, you can have, I feel like using a handheld clipper, it would take you like 2 hours to cut someone's hair with a handheld clipper.
That would be the all-day thing.
It would be the all day thing. It would definitely be all day. Let me see what else I have in here that I wanted to share with you guys. Oh, so here, when we talk about robe, also beyond this, like we talked about, we have like these clergymen with their tonsors. But in England, much later, the reign of Queen Elizabeth, it was fashionable for men to dye their beards and cut them in a variety of shapes. So we do, what the students do, I have them go on YouTube and look up all these crazy beards and shapes, and you would see like the mustaches that would come up off, and like they would curl up, and they would be really cool. It's just fun to see how beards, mustaches, and haircuts have evolved over the many years. Let's see. Oh, one of the cool things is here. If I go back to, let's go back to this. Yeah. So in Africa. Oh, yeah. So in Africa, they would do some tribes. Yeah. So in Africa, some tribes would shave their heads because they wanted to make sure that they were rid of either evil spirits.
Oh.
Yeah, or sometimes the men would wear their hair very long to help remove those evil spirits. They felt like the hair was coming off their head like this and just kind of losing the spirit that would come off of them. Which it's really interesting when you would think about all these different types of cultures and what they would do with their hair. Something as simple as their hair. So do you have a barber that you go to?
Yes.
You've been going to your barber for a long time?
Less than a year. I've only been in Brunswick for a little over a year.
Oh, okay.
And he's up here at Laurel and Provo Anderson family.
Oh, cool. Very cool. And who's been going to their barber or their stylist for longer than 10 years?
Dave.
It's a relationship, right? It's a relationship.
You'll-
How many?
50 years.
Wow. It's amazing. It's a relationship. They become part of your family.
Terry,
Whether it's a barber or a cosmetologist.
how long
It's
has
love.
Terrence McDonald been coming to you, Vicki? He remembers going as a child, and he was on his way to see you when he emailed me.
Dave's been there forever.
Dave? Yeah.
You didn't ask me how many barbers of mine have.
Right.
I'm sure it's. There was,
See y'all later.
there's a barber in Kansas Plaza, because I'm right in West Park. Yeah. What, guy at Hands? I think he just passed away.
No, your partner.
Oh, Patrick first.
His mother was a personal friend of my wife's.
Patty? Oh, I love that.
And true story, I was looking for a barber because the one, retired. And I went to his store on a ring. And I was kind of, because I'd gone to 3 or 4 other people. And I walked into the place and I go, hey, can you guys do a razor cut? And the guy standing there with a straight razor. He goes, well, I don't think we can do that. I've never heard of that before. And I'm going, thank you very much. I'll try someplace else.
So you like your haircut with a razor?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. It is, if you're not taught it, you don't want them to try it. That's for sure. You'll end up with holes in your hair with razors. It definitely is. We are teaching our students that too. Because again, some of these barber schools, it's like doing time. You literally come in and you just sit there and tick, tock. You're waiting. You're waiting for a customer to come in. You're just waiting for the next one. You're waiting for your 1,800 hours. And it's sad because a lot of these students are not being taught. And that's what we're trying to change that. We're trying to do that change. But yes, Patrick, I love Kat. She's been helping me out with stuff.
Why then he opened the other store next to the corner.
Yeah, for me alone too.
When my wife, I told my wife, and my wife told Patty, is the lady, and she told the son, and he said, what do you mean, who was it?
Oh, he's gonna fire her.
He was not happy.
No, I'm sure he wasn't
He
happy.
just lost the customer.
Yeah, I'm sure he was not happy, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially when the guy's standing there with a straight razor.
Well, yeah, you don't want to trust him. You don't want him to try. That is for sure. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Any questions? No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know one of the observations, younger, they all had to be, at least, somebody told me that they weren't unionized, but they had their little union pictures and stuff on the wall.
Yeah, so the barber, they used to have, they were called journeyman barbers and master barbers. So one was an organization for the employees and one was an organization for the employers. And I don't remember the year that they got rid of that, and if they don't, so we are not in a union, which kind of is a bummer because I feel like a union might have been helpful for some barbers when it comes to taxes, when it comes to healthcare, that kind of thing. Like a lot of us, when COVID happened, a lot of us were in some serious panic because again, we made all of our money, and we were self-employed. And when you go to file for unemployment, they don't do that for self-employed. So it took a minute, but DeWine did pass something. We were able to get back pay for all that. But for a month straight, or maybe even 6 weeks, we weren't getting anything. And then finally, all the unemployment came through right after it was actually, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but it literally was the day before he opened up the barbershops and salons that all of our money was deposited into our account. So we literally went a month or 6 weeks, like I said, 4 to 6 weeks without any pay, nothing.
And with
So-
2 barbers in the house.
And for us, it was really hard. It was really hard for me and my husband because we are both barbers. So it was luckily we have a really good family that helped us out and stuff. But it was hard because we weren't in any income and you didn't want to dive in. And that was actually the year we were trying to buy a house in Brunswick. And it was 2020. We bought our house in 2020, August of 2020, and we didn't want to go into our savings because when you're searching for a house, everybody knows that the lenders, they don't want you touching anything because they got to get your loan approved. So we were like, oh, we were trying to buy a house, we had no job. It was really, yeah, exactly. And it was tough because you weren't allowed to spend your money. So, but it was good. Oh, you're welcome.
And now somebody who's been in Brunswick her entire life, who probably needs no introduction. I remember when she was born.
I do have some information if anybody is interested in knowing where our school is or our menu, if anybody wants to come check out the school, or if anybody knows anybody who wants to be a barber, I have some paperwork, and I have some free haircut coupons. If anybody knows anybody that's kind of going through tough times, or anybody works at a school or a church or anything, I've got all these free haircuts that we would love for you to pass out and just give to people who might need it, and that sort of thing.
Where's your school at?
It's in West Park, so it's Cam's Corner.
Corners.
So it's right by Fairview Hospital. So yeah, Fairview Hospital is right over, like we're right back before that bridge. We're right between Rocky River Drive and
Behind the Domino's.
Papa John's.
Papa John's.
Papa John's. We're right, yeah, the school is on Rocky River Drive, right behind Papa John's. Yeah, we have a front parking lot, which is nice. And we have a full back parking lot, which is also nice. So.
Okay, and now someone who needs no introduction, Vicki Michalske from Brunswick Plaza. Her goodies.
I'm not even gonna show this stuff, but
Yeah, you should.
no, it was really cool because I also brought a set of hand clippers. But you already saw them.
So how many people went to her dad, Don?
Brunswick Plaza,
So wait, where is the
it's
barbershop?
the oldest business in Brunswick. It's in the plaza across from the middle school.
What year did he open?
We just celebrated 68 years on January 14th, 1957.
That's amazing.
So like you, I also have a pair of hand
Oh,
clippers.
look at those, look nice.
And yeah, I mean, it's like clean this up.
In the box.
In the box. And I'm sure they weren't pleasant to get a haircut then, because you know it had to be great. I mean, how could it? You gotta let your clip, you know.
It's like clip
So, but I also have, I would imagine this is a curling iron.
It's a hot tool.
You laid it in the fire. Joe, how did I open this?
Yeah, it's a thermal.
Squeeze
I just
it.
was working it. No, that's folded.
Squeeze it.
Thank you.
Put water in it.
Thank you, Sam. So I'm assuming that we had to keep this up on an
Yeah,
oven.
stove, yeah, they had those
You know?
little stoves that look like,
Pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah, we've got a couple of hair straighteners,
Yeah.
I got a
curlers
hole and I got a razor, but you already
up
saw.
in the farmhouse. So if you ever, when you come to visit the farmhouse, be sure to stop and look at
I do have
in
a
a cabinet.
strap. And
Oh, you have one.
I just took this off my chair today, so it's obviously well used. My kids know it as Bruno. And I had it hanging by my stove, and I just go like
Yeah.
this. Or I'd go on the table, and they would go. I had their attention. So. Never used it on them, didn't have to. So
That's a good idea, I'm gonna bring mine.
Perfect
I needed
idea.
it used on me.
So, anyways, my father opened the barber shop in 1957. I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry.
So, anyways, he signed his lease in 1953.
Yeah.
And John Dinda built the shopping center. It was the first shopping center in Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was the first business to open there. And the day my dad opened, my mom, I was in the oven. So when I was born, it was the day after Palm Sunday. And my dad was so busy, his first year, he couldn't see me. But my mom told me today, he goes, the first time he came, he said he still had his smock on. He came in with his barber smock on and everything. So, so that was kind of cool. what was I gonna say? My first experience in the barbershop was probably about, besides sitting there and going next door to get my hair cut at the beauty shop and watch my dad cut hair. I think I was 12 years old. Me and my cousin Rhonda Williams would clean the barbershop floor, and my father had an old Coke machine that we could open up and take bottles of Coke.
I bought it.
Yes.
Serious?
You know what? I'm like, I knew it was you. She bought it for your husband.
No, the story went, we heard that he had one there and we collected Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So Jerry went and bought it. And then I said, well, I was going to surprise him. So I went up to buy it. And your dad said, oh shit, look who's coming. And they knew what I wanted, and Jerry had already bought it. But Jerry hadn't given it to me. So
See, I was told that you bought it for Jerry.
Jerry bought it for me for my birthday.
Oh, there we go.
Do you
I'm
still
glad
have
the
it?
You still have
communication-
No, I sold it when Jerry died.
Yeah, but yeah. See, I was gonna say that you guys bought it.
That's such a great story.
I know.
You went to go buy it, but he already bought it for you.
I went home, but I didn't know anything about it. You know, I just went up to buy it, and they said, look, somebody bought it. I said, oh crap. And they said, we know where there's another one. Some Eagles Club had one. So I just went home. I was just waiting to buy it, something else, you know. So on my birthday, I went home, and my husband was downstairs, and he says, come down here. Okay. Walked down, he says, here's a dime, I'll buy you a Coke. I had the Coke machine all redone, not redone, just cleaned up, and he'll bring it. So my
I
dad,
got it on your old Coke machine, and
That's really cute.
That's so-
really cute.
oh my God.
That's a great
Because I was told that you bought it for Jerry. Now you said
Jerry bought it for you.
So see how you get
See,
two
see
stories.
how, see all the stories, how our stories all weave together, isn't it strange?
And she's
A hairstylist.
I worked at the beauty shop next door.
With Maxine? Or did you work for Shirley?
Marion Sachs.
I meant Marion. I don't know why I called it Max.
63.
Marion Max. That's
Yeah.
that's where I get the Max at. She's the one that used to cut my hair in
Yeah,
the
Gwen
big
worked there.
That is so awesome.
I've been having some really interesting people
I didn't
calling.
know that she worked at the bar at the
Yes,
beauty
see,
shop.
calling because I put in about, you reminded me about the first businesses in the plaza, and so I've been asking people, and people have been contacting me. Oh, did you remember this one? And we'd forgotten that. I forgot the grocery store, Rexall.
yeah,
How could I forget
The
Rexall?
Sparkle. But my mom
Oh,
said,
Sparkle was the
I
first
asked
thing I
my mom
remembered.
today, I said, Mom, when the shopping center was built, I think it was just the strip. I think Sparkle was added when they added the rust. Because I said, where did you grocery shop in 57?
Not
Because that's when my
Brunswick.
dad opened.
Zimmerman's.
She said, did she say Brook Park or Big? She went Berea.
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 Yeah.
Because we didn't have any in Brunswick.
Oh, even Strongsville.
I mean, right next to the barber shop was the Lawson store, just Hoover had.
Lawson's,
Right
and
next
then
to
the
it.
Western Auto. I said
that was-
Western Auto.
was later
If you
on
had a
down the road.
McDonald's and a Western Auto, you were a big town.
That was later down the road because they added that back on. But John didn't build the shopping center. My dad signed a lease in 53. $80 a month was his rent.
And John Dinda's daughter is one of our volunteers.
Oh, is she really?
Uh-huh,
Joanna?
uh-huh.
Oh, I'd love to see her. But anyways, the first day he opened, he had 2 customers. Because right across the street there was a Quantum Hut. There was George's
George, yeah.
barbershop. So that's already been there. And someone told me there was a barbershop which must have been, who's saying?
Carl's,
Yeah.
Carl's uncle.
In that building there. So,
So that was the third, he was the third one then.
I'm not sure on that. You know, I wish I could ask my dad. And then when I went to barber college in 76, there really, female barbers were not known. And I never worked for my dad. I was getting a job in Brooksville, but before I started, when I got out of Barber College, my dad, Don Reynolds, worked for my dad, and they became partners afterwards. Don Reynolds was from Valley City. Everybody knows his dad, Jay. But anyways, his brother started the Frog Jump.
The Frog Jump, yes.
So I worked there for a couple weeks, and which was good because being in barber college and working in a barber shop, totally different. You know, it's a totally different atmosphere. So it was cool. I could work there, but I'd be there in the last chair, and guys would walk in. They go, "Hey, you're hot." They wanted to tell jokes. They wanted to swear. They wanted to tell dirty jokes and whatever. So I have a potty mouth now, but I had to make these guys feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So they would say, excuse my language, they go, well, never mind. I go, tell a fucking joke. I mean, I have to let them know. I mean, I appreciate the respect as a female, but I'm in a male atmosphere. I have to.
I'm one of the guys.
Were you in your
Actually,
20s when you went to barber school? Were you like in your early 19s
I was 19.
or 20, 19? Oh, see, I was 19.
Yeah, I went 1 year after high school. I didn't know what I really wanted to do was be a veterinarian,
Oh.
but I didn't want to have to put animals to sleep. So, and then someone told me you had to be a straight A student to be able to go to college, and I was like, no, that's not good. I mean, my dad never even knew I was thinking about being a barber. A family friend of mine told my dad, you know, talking about being a barber. I mean, I was a little kid. My mom would go to Sparkle Mart. I'd go to my dad's shop, sit there and watch and cut hair. You know,
That's so
it's pretty cool.
That
It's
is
really cool.
That is a great story.
Now, when did you join the family shop then?
Okay, so in 1990, my dad wanted to retire. And actually, I was planning on moving to Kentucky. And then someone was telling me that, you know, my dad wants to retire and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, he's thinking about me. So I bought my dad's shop. Wasn't given to me. Bought it at a good price. And I bought it, my first day there was June 9th of 1990.
Cool.
My dad wasn't happy with that because he wanted to get out sooner. But my kids were in school and I didn't want to have to find daycare during the day. You know, I can do summer, you know what I mean. So anyways, so I've had it since 1990. And my daughter has been with me, I think, since 2013. My daughter.
Did she also go to Allstate?
She went to Allstate. And Mike,
The son,
yeah, what's,
D'Amico.
yeah. Phil's son, Mike, has the Barber College now. So
Yeah, and I think his son, so
is now running it?
I think his son is now running it. Mike is still there, but then I think his son is
Okay.
also running it.
They're great people. They're great people. I know Phil one time took me down to the basement and had, because I was talking to people he didn't think I should talk to, so he's giving me a talking to in the basement. Yeah, it was a great place. So anyway, so the shop's been there for 68 years as of this past January 14th.
That's amazing.
And hopefully it continues on because I'm getting ready to want to pass it on to my daughter. I mean, I'd like to work there part-time. I'm still there full-time, but I'd like to.
And your daughter's ready to take over all the,
She's probably been ready, but
cool.
she's really awesome. She's
And what's her name?
Ashley.
Ashley.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other barbers that work there with you?
There was 3 chairs. I took 1 chair out because it was just me and her, and I didn't. And the middle chair was just taking up stuff,
Yeah.
garbage. So I moved it out. It's just 2 chairs now. She don't like the fact that I love plants, so there's a lot of plants in there. And I'm a Three Stooges fanatic. And if you ever go there, I should have brought pictures. All 3 Stooges, wall to wall, floor to ceiling, all Three Stooges memorabilia. And I got stuff I don't even have out. Like, I was going through stuff today at the barber shop. I'm like, oh, look at this. Oh, I got this. So I have a lot of stuff. But I do, this is my father, sesquicentennial. This is in 1965.
65,
And he was a chairman on the beard board or whatever. So that's him, that's my dad, doing whatever, cutting some guy's beard. So, and there's some more people.
The whole idea was that you had to buy a button to become a brother of the brush in order to shave legally
Was this
during
it?
our sesquicentennial. Yeah.
Would you like that?
Oh, we've got a billion.
We got a billion of them.
What is
Yeah.
your hand?
Brothers of the Brush. Women, in order to wear makeup, had to buy a Sisters of the Swish button.
So if you
No.
bought this button,
If
what
you
did it
were
mean?
caught without your button
She's,
and you had
Yeah.
shaved or you had makeup, you got arrested and put in a
Stop.
portable jail
oh, they would, and they would cut.
Is it a joke?
at the plaza.
Is this serious or
Put
a joke?
him in jail. I was one of the judges of the kangaroo court.
Yeah.
Joke.
No, they
We
had
had
a
so
wagon
much
with
fun.
bars on them, and they would pick up people. I had a picture somewhere.
It was from Lodi or someplace like that. They had a portable jail for
and they
something.
would take you through town,
Yeah, you get paraded through town because we all knew each other.
and that's, well, you know, I look better. That's my father, my daughter, and me.
Didn't run the jail you were.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, Vicki, did Sam write the old article? The bicentennial one?
The sesquicentennial ones in the bicentennial I did. Unfortunately,
Yeah, this is a sesquicentennial 65.
yeah. Well, I was on that board, and by the time we got to the bicentennial, I was the only one still alive.
Oh.
It was really disheartening, you know.
But look at you now.
Hmm?
Look at you now.
Yeah, that's in 1965. We kind of all knew each other. It was still a pretty.
It was a great community.
A small town. still.
Everybody
There
knew
was nothing
everybody.
to do for kids. There were no sidewalks. There was no rec center. So, I mean, everybody got to know everybody else.
You know how they had, like, it used to be home, whatever they had, they don't have anymore for Brunswick. It used to be across the street at the middle school.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
My dad belonged to the Lions Club. They used to have Mother's Day dinners.
Yeah, the community center.
Mhm.
When they closed down Visitator for a while, what became Visitator. And then they had to reopen it again because we had another burst of kids. But, yeah, 65, there was a north-south skirmish. So we had the north-south skirmish at Benjamin's Farm on 130th Street near Boston. And at the other end of town, the Ku Klux Klan set up a cross
Oh, yeah.
and burnt it.
Wasn't it 303 and
It was at, what's the name, Foskett, the corner of Foskett and Pearl. The sheriff's department parked in the center of town, and every time because of that, every time you went through town, you were stopped and they searched your car. You know how many times I had to go through town, and I was very pregnant. And
Why would they do that? What were they looking for?
they found so many weapons, you wouldn't believe it. They thought, the people from the Ku Klux Klan were gonna go to that side of town and start really shooting. And
Wonderful.
things were a little different.
It was.
But, there was a 3-hour parade on, August 12th. I can tell you what day it was, because I had my baby the next day. And yeah, your dad was a big part of it.
My dad was very involved.
Very involved. He yelled at me if I changed my column about something. If I stopped talking about what was going on at the bar,
I love the plants.
because he knew all those people, and I started talking about what was happening in the churches, he'd get mad at me. And he'd say, look, you're not writing about all the right people anymore. So,
He was a great guy.
I miss him. I miss him much. This is right when I think I was getting ready to buy the shop. That's me, my dad, and Don Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't mention Don, so I wrote a letter to the editor, and they put a real nice article about Don, because he was a little, unfortunately, him and my dad passed away the same year, 2014.
Hmm.
Don passed
Who was
away.
Don?
Pardon me?
Who's Don?
That was he worked for my dad, and then they became partners.
Gotcha, okay.
His brother's one of the founders of Jumping Frog, Frog Jump.
Frog jump, yeah.
Valley City.
Yep, in Valley City. But Don, his dad, very well-known family in Valley City, is the Reynolds.
He was Huckleberry Finn, I think.
Jumping.
They
literally jumped the frogs.
No, there was the jumping
No,
frog.
they were the Barber.
Oh, they jumped
Jumping frog is a frog.
I knew what that was.
We got a proclamation from the city, I think it was back in '65.
Did it.
This is my daughter and me. I didn't expect to have to talk, but there was glass in there. Somebody just knocked this up and thing the other day. We got a proclamation from the city. We got a thing from the state of Ohio.
Oh, cool.
Pretty an old business.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My dad would be so proud.
There aren't very many businesses left that have gone through as long as they have.
It's 3 generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mapleside until it got changed.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good to see.
There isn't any other businesses that are still here that started.
No,
well, B&B Trophy started in the garage.
Donut Land started in the 70s.
B&B Trophy, because they
Right.
started in a garage and then they moved over into the thing, Donut Land. There aren't many. The Fuller Farms, you guys are still around, the Fuller Farms.
But this is like a.
Carol?
Did your dad have a secondary backup besides being a barber?
No, and I was thinking about that today. My father and my mom moved out here in Brunswick, I think in '53, which is when my dad, they had 2 kids, my sister and my brother. I was a surprise. And my sister was born in '52, my brother was born in '53.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And I was thinking about this today. I'm thinking, my dad put a lot on the line. I mean, he had 2 kids, a wife. They
A
moved
mortgage.
to Brunswick. He was working at a barber shop, I don't know, in Fairview or whatever. And he actually went to the extent to open a shop with one in the oven.
Yeah.
So,
That is.
That's a big
But he
commitment.
obviously,
But that's amazing.
but he decided this obviously in '53 if he signed a lease
Yeah.
4 years prior. But I mean, that's a lot. Like, put on the line.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I wasn't surprised. He wasn't thinking of me at 50.
When my uncle had his shop here in Brunswick, he was also a massotherapist.
Okay.
And he was kind of bigger in that. Of course, everybody needs a haircut, but the people that really needed help, he was there.
That's
My
awesome.
mother had, I forgot what it was, but she was in bed most of the time.
Not
And he
MS.
would come down and teach my dad the massotherapy to make her body feel better.
Wow.
But he used me to show him on.
Oh, he'd like
And the
it.
next day I'd go to school and you'd have to look down because you felt you weren't even touching the ground.
You felt so
Your body
good.
was so free.
That's
It was
awesome.
I need you.
unbelievable.
Wow.
Can I say something?
Sure. Go ahead.
Well, I'm Vicki's significant, and I've known her for quite a while now. And just to say about her customers are very important to her. These people have been with her whole career, and she goes out, when they can't get into the shop, she goes to them and gives
Aw.
them haircuts.
Good for
It
you.
amazes me. And sometimes she'll do it during the day. If I'm
Just
not
3
working,
yesterday.
I'll go with her, I'll be the guy.
Well, you have to be in the right mindset.
But it's
You
amazing.
people are my bread and butter.
Mhm.
Don't treat your customers rude or whatever. So, and I tell them, I go, you've been there my whole life. You bought me my car, you bought me my house, you bought me whatever. At least when you're having hard luck, I'm more than happy to accommodate. And I don't want to charge them. I don't go there and say, okay, $25. I don't even want to charge them. They want to give me money. A lot of times I shove it back in their pockets. It depends how
I really
stubborn I
think
am.
that you become family with some of your
Oh, yeah,
people.
definitely.
I know their kids or grandkids. You do.
Yeah.
I get attached to people real easily, and I just, Don McKelvey.
Sounds McKelvey?
He was working at the nurse or at the funeral homes, and he goes to donut
He
land.
worked with my husband.
Okay, so he's at the Avenue now in Brunswick. I didn't know. Anyways, I went and saw him yesterday. Me and Joe went, and he was so. And I said he paid $35. He gets 0 on his head. He had to pay. I go, why did you call me? Don't do that. Let me come over and look at you here. Yeah, because he had a stroke.
Oh, I didn't know.
I didn't either. I was wondering why I hadn't seen him. Then I found out that he had a stroke. Donut land, Everybody's telling me where he's at. He wasn't. It's called Larry Esposito's. Like that's where I first found it out. But anyways,
They do become like your family.
I get very attached to my customers.
I had some of my clients came to my baby shower, my wedding. You know what I mean? Like you just become friends, and they're a part of you. When you're seeing some of these people, sometimes with men, 2 weeks. You're seeing them every 2 weeks. And then with women, I mean, some of my women, because I do women's hair as well. I mean, some of my women that come and see me every 4 or 5 weeks, they become my friends. And they're your family. So you go above and beyond.
I
Because
had a
they
customer
take care
lost
of
his wife.
you.
Somebody comes in. I'm not gonna charge you. I don't want. Just go. No. You lost your father. I don't do that. I cry with them.
Mm-hmm.
I know what they're feeling. I go to I just.
Well, we're pretty lucky to have you, don't you think?
Thank you. It's been a long night.
Thank you
I'm
so
sure there's
much.
something I'm gonna say. Why did I say
We're
that?
lucky to have you in our family.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Brown noses.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for asking.